This Montrezl Harrell situation is an absolute mess. No one knows the true story. No one knows what's going on. Today we're going to come on here. We're going to see if we can make sense of it all, okay? Because it's confusing as. 3 days ago, the story was broke that Montrezl Harrell and the Adelaide 36ers were going to part ways, and no one understood why. Kendrick Davis somewhere smiling. And all that we're really getting is Montrezl Harrell tweets. So, no lie, honestly, this is going to mess up a lot of fans. Wish he knew the truth. I understand I failed a drug test. I get what the test showed. What I get lost is on the doping part, because doping rule on taking drugs to increase or gain an edge in competition. I know damn well I had zero of anything like that in me. So again, doping. He took weed. That's what he took. I think he's kind of questioning like why that's banned, I guess. And I think he takes it medicinally as well. And then no one had any clear answers, okay? And then NBL released this. Via NBL now, they got DJ on. And they said, we feel bad for him because even Montrez doesn't know what's going on, but they stand by him and they've got a job to do. They got to keep moving forward. So you're telling me Montrezl Harrell doesn't know why he's being released from the 36ers? What do you mean he doesn't know? How can you get your contract terminated or kicked off a team and not know the reason why? Then if we go on NBL Pleb, give him a follow. He's like a great source for NBL news and stuff like that. So Montrez sent out a tweet appreciating all the Australian fans. He made them fall in love with basketball again. That's good. But then I think on NBL Overtime, they started talking about it again. So he sent out another tweet. Someone's got to take Twitter off him. But I'm entertained. If you don't know the truth, then don't speak on it. I have a clear medical card, plus deal with things behind doors. But again, don't start talking because you haven't talked to me. I think he has a medicinal marijuana card, which is why he takes weed. And then obviously he's going through things. So again, which is why he takes weed. And I think on Overtime, they were talking about like it's his fault. He was the one taking weed and he's taking accountability, that sort of stuff. So I think that's what his response to that one was. But then this tweet, we got a little bit of an answer. So obviously he was thanking the NBL. But then he said, the funny thing is, it's not China that's stopping me. It's the Australian Sports Committee. Band superstar improving Australian basketball tenfold, but AFL have Snoop Dogg. Grand final. I mean, yeah, like what is Australia's sporting stance on drugs? Then today around lunchtime, the Adelaide 36ers finally made a statement 3 days after the news broke. It took them time. So this is a statement they released. They said, we terminated the contract with Montrezl Harrell as the club prepares to open its NBL 26 campaign. He's serving a provisional ban after he was found to have a prohibited substance while playing in China. He was tested in April with a positive finding being announced 2 months later. So they were able to keep it under wraps, and then for whatever reason, 2 months later, it came out after he had already re-signed. So to me, he failed a drug test, re-signed with Adelaide, and then the news came out that he failed that drug test. As it stands, Harrell is not permitted to train or play, and with no timeline on when the process will be finalized and no certainty on any sanctions, the club has been left with no option but to terminate his contract to allow it to move to finalize the playing roster. I mean, they kind of explain it here because the matter in China is ongoing. The Adelaide 36ers remain constrained by the confidentiality policies of WADA and are unable to comment further on the matter. The club is grateful to Montrez for his service and wish him well in the future. So from what I'm getting from this statement is Harrell failed a drug test, signed with Adelaide, then it got out that he failed that drug test, so Adelaide didn't know when they signed him. Getting investigated by WADA, so they're permitting a ban, but there's no timeline on when that process will be finalized. So in Adelaide's point of view, they have a season to get prepared for, and they don't even know when one of their great players will be back playing, so they decided to get rid of him. That's my understanding from this, and if that's the case, I kind of agree with it. If they re-signed him without knowing that he failed the drug test, then I think it's okay to do what they're doing. But again, going back on NBL Pleb, the absolute GOAT, he sent out another tweet saying, wait till you hear the real story on this, lol, how quick the switch goes. So from this one, is he suggesting that Adelaide knew that he failed the drug test before he re-signed? That's kind of what I'm getting from this. Again, this is just speculation, okay? I'm not confirmed with any sources. From this line right here, saying he tested positive in April, re-signed with Adelaide 36ers, and then was found positive. That's a good reason for him to depart, right? For them to get rid of them, right? But from this tweet right here, it kind of is like, wait till you hear the real story. Maybe they knew. Then Adelaide sent out a tweet, thank you Monster, we'll miss your energy, hype and impact on and off the court. And Montrez had an answer for them. Miss me with that fake love, man. I didn't need it now. It's personal for him now. So I'm heavily thinking Adelaide, when they re-signed him, they knew he failed that drug test. That's what I'm thinking. So the whole thing is an absolute mess because Adelaide aren't allowed to talk about why he's not allowed to play, what the ban is going to include, how long it's going to include. Like, they're not allowed to comment on it. But then Montrezl is saying that club statement wasn't the real story. I mean, and the comments, like, the main comment I'm seeing is about Xavier Cooks. Obviously, he was doing lines. From the statement, I'm saying it's the 36ers decision to get rid of Montrezl Harrell. But the question that is remaining is, did the Adelaide 36ers know he failed that drug test? Because from this, they didn't. But Montrezl is saying, wait till the real story gets out. So who knows what's going on with this situation? This situation is an absolute mess. I'm not even sure if the real story is ever going to come out. My feelings, if it's a banned substance, you can't take it. Also, if a news story breaks, it can't take you 3 days as a club to come out with a response. That's too long. And the thing that's really confusing me is all these statements that are saying Montrezl Harrell doesn't know what's going on. How does he not know? He has to know something. Someone has to be telling him something. Hopefully that clears it up a little bit. Obviously we don't know the full story, and we might never ever get to know what the full story is. But basically, the gist of it is Adelaide 36ers signed him not knowing he failed a drug test. But then Montrezl sends out that tweet saying, wait till the real story gets out. Is the real story that they did know. Which is why he is mad at Adelaide, because they knew he failed that drug test. I don't know, man. But please make sure you follow, like, and subscribe. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below, and I'm out. Peace.